we're good.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters Oakland as we get things underway here in just a few moments' time. All the players are loaded in to the first map and they are almost ready to go. So, gentlemen, I have Avenge here as well as Steel. And overall, what are you expecting to come into this? Have they already dropped, in fact? Or have they not dropped yet?
I don't think they've dropped yet.
They haven't dropped yet. We're waiting for them to get on the plane, and it's yeah.
Okay. So we are almost ready to go over to our commentary team here in a second, as Pansy and Toffees are ready to head to game number 1 for the Intel Extreme Masters Oakland.
And yeah, thank you very much, guys, for the patience. Obviously, it wouldn't be PUBG without a couple of starting points, but we are into this one. We are seeing them dropping out, and do you know what? I'm kind of happy to seeing a relatively central line to a degree. All right, it's
Absolutely.
a little south. It's a little south, but you know what? It gives a lot of play here. Talk me through what we're looking at early game, because there's a lot of scripted drops we're expecting to see. If you see any deviations, call it out to us.
Absolutely. What a lot of teams wanted to see was a middle one coming straight out of the gate. Now, this is a little bit south, so we're going to have to see some adjustments. Probably a lot of cars getting picked up in this area here so that they can sort of head north and do their looting. Now, what I would love to see, and what I think we're probably going to see a lot of, is some of these teams are going to have one scout, presumably, pull their shoot early. They're going to try to get a good sky vision of where all the teams are dropping so that they know, is anyone switching up, or is anybody staying the same? Now, worth noting, one team that is staying the same, despite a lot of people thinking that they wouldn't, is FaZe Gaming. FaZe Gaming is going to be dropping right into the same position that they generally like to populate, as is a couple of other teams. We've got AAA going to be using their mill to drop. These are all very common. These teams are using what we decided is they want to make sure their strategy is strong in the first game. In a best of 8, with scores as powerful as they are, you want to have a good first game. You want to make sure that that first game gets you into the top 10, sets you up with a good point pattern, and allows you to really push into the second half of day 1 and then day 2 without being too far behind.
Yeah, and we're seeing the teams who kind of drop first now, obviously a little further ahead, hitting the ground quicker. They do get the guns going. You're already seeing a lot of ARs being picked up across the board. You're seeing that starting to fill through, and everything's kind of going as expected. TSM heading to George. It's nothing new. It's exactly the same. I guess the one thing we look at is if there are those early fights that you kind of get worried about. I'm seeing a couple of shots coming through center map, and that's going to be something to keep your eyes on. NIP, obviously, one of those teams who like the fights. They like the early action. So keep tabs across the board on what's going to be happening, because you are seeing that instant get car, get moving, and that's a circle and a half.
Absolutely. So this is really honestly the worst possible scenario in circles for a lot of these teams. Oh, wow. We're already seeing fights. You heard Avenger say it earlier that this area up here was going to be a really big deal up by Yas. We got a lot of teams coming in, and what we're seeing is what we call the car massacre. A lot of teams...
Whoa, hold on. Have you just seen the Boom's just taken out?
Wow.
TSM is struggling here. They're down on 2 already. You're going to have Break being taken out completely. He's straight out. He's crawling to his doom. This is big from Noble to start off. That's a huge statement. We know that TSM play those late games. They expected that. They even had a great circle, bear in mind. They had it all, but this is a huge problem now. TSM, well, what's left of TSM now has to split apart. They're going to have to try and keep themselves to themselves, play that long game, stay alive, and pray that the others do the work for him, but a lot of kills coming through early.
Bad for TSM, great for Noble. This is a big confidence booster for a team that has had a little bit of trouble with the transition from third person to first person since the last large event. That has got to be a really cool thing for them to get right out of the gate with and say, hey, we can get the kills, we can take out its favorite team, we can make this happen.
Yeah, Chappie already getting the loot on down by the coast. Too much to worry about just yet. He seems relatively okay at the point. Shotgun, it's not the end of the world, quite nice at this point. Looking for armor still, obviously. That's what you want the basics, right? You want the level 1 helmet. At least then you can be relatively safe in the first bit of loot exchange. But you want to end up with the level 2s no matter what, really, at this point. Especially at this level, you need that sustainability here.
You do. You want to use that first circle to get your essentials. And then from there, you almost treat it like it's a raid of some sort, where you start to improve your gear by taking out your opponents.
Now let's look at the crunch points here, because we're going to see that east to kind of west transitions sort of period kicking in. Not necessarily now, but pretty soon. They're starting to consider cars. They're kind of starting to consider how do we get here, because the fights are happening towards the south. AAA having a little bit of a skirmish as well. FaZe obviously next to them. That's a huge battle we have to keep our eyes towards. But the crunch points you're seeing are going to be Pachinki, that southern road, bit of the north, but you've got to be careful of those bridges as well. They are such a choke point, and you're going to be seeing teams having to be very cautious of that.
Absolutely. One of the things that we're going to see is FaZe Gaming, for instance, is going to have to really cross this map through a very tough area. They've got to come all the way across, so they have to leave early. That means Against All is going to be sitting there waiting for them. We're going to have Liquid up on the north. Remember, you can't drive through that central area coming out of Power, so you're not going to be going over Lumber Camp. which means you're in some trouble.
I do like the way the Cloud9 are already moving. They've gone quite early here. You saw that their loot was pretty scrappy, but I mean, at least you can kind of guess as well, going into that kind of west part of the map, it's not always so populated. You can trash loot out of it. It's not the end of the world. The guys down here, obviously Evil Geniuses used to be doing the slow loot again, taking their time. Again, got to be careful of the bridge crossing back out because teams are going to be crossing through that path. But you've got to be aware of this now mentally.
And I love so Evil Geniuses, when you talk about drop patterns, and we talked about this all week, nobody's really going military regularly right now. So Evil Geniuses came in, and they have a lot to prove in this game, Pansy. They were a direct invite that didn't come out of the traditional leagues formats. So they have a great start here. They've got all the loot that they could ever want to themselves. And they should have an okay time passing that bridge as long as they don't run into the Corn Shuckers. Corn Shuckers, another team that loves a scrap. These guys are first-person bosses, and they're going to try to potentially take the fight to that southern road.
Yeah, first drop going to come in just north of Georgia Pole. We're kind of in between, I guess, by the bridge. So, hey, if people want to go for it, fine. But I think everyone's pretty scared right now. This is first game. You've already just seen some of the slowest playing, most meticulous, very cautious teams getting picked up first. So again, you don't want to be that team. And this is the point now, is everyone needs to start the move. Everyone wants to get into buildings. They want to play either central if that's their jam, or whatever is the style for them. They need to start executing that now. For me, the big fun part will be the Milta move. Because FaZe will either have to go past AAA, Penta's not far off, all these teams. You don't want to get that, do you? You go out all that way, you take the risk, and they're like, M249.
And it's really tough. It's really tough for FaZe too, because they've got to go through multiple kills boxes, including the school kill box, to get to where they want to go. And they need to launch with no more than 45 seconds.
FaZe is starting to move. Now I'm wondering if AAA are going to spot this out. If we can jump down towards that, I want to see that FaZe transition through. If AAA actually do get a spot in this, because I know, again, these two names, if you didn't watch Gamescom, if you're not, part of that sort of realm, which obviously there's a lot of players in this game who don't know that, you may not know how good these guys are, but they're the ones to keep your eyes on. This is a beautiful compound, by the way, one of my favorites. Really great to play out. Probably going to be heavily contested, or it'll be heavily avoided because it's going to be so popular. Again, keep eyes on that. But the move now happening from a lot of the teams towards that southeast side, you can see the line of everyone as well working their way through the center here.
Absolutely. So they have a chance to set a trap, but it looks like FaZe is being smart and going through the lumber camp, as difficult as it is to avoid them.
Yeah, the terrain's horrible as well around
It's very difficult terrain. So that's why they left so early, to make sure they had the time to make that transition. Now, up on the top edge of the circle, we know that Luminosity is really going into contact with Wind and Rain. Now, Wind and Rain is a team that a lot of us don't know what to expect from these guys, and it could get pretty sketchy. So here's Mixie got the motorcycle. If you're going to go through that rough terrain, it's really a great vehicle to try and make that happen with, and he's playing Scout. This is a really smart strategy when you know that you're cut on two sides. You send someone out on the motorcycle first, and you make sure that you're not going to get shot.
Well, we're going to see the high ground, low ground start to kick off a little bit here. Bear in mind, you do have Luminosity down there, so keep eyes on what they do and the way they work out of this. Again, Ruin's brilliant sometimes if you're a power player, if you want to take those fights, if you're happy being dug in here, you don't need to rotate out of it, you feel comfortable. But again, you can get picked out, you can get pinned in there. It's very tricky to traverse from. There's still that open ground around it. So keep eyes on how they kind of get around this area. Nice little 4 times though on this 416. So a little bit of play if they go for that solo shot. But look at the armor and helmet situation. Very limited here for these guys.
They hit a rough house, but here's the thing. You saw Luminosity, some of the best shots probably in this tournament, walking away from Wind and Rain. And the reason for that is Wind and Rain very smartly took a good high ground position and had them covered. And there's some things in this game you have to understand is when you have a advantage based on height as high as Wind and Rain does, Luminosity made the right choice. And sometimes winning PUBG is about choosing not to take a fight instead of taking it.
No, it's absolutely true. You need to be able to kind of define those decisions very quickly as well. And for Wind and Rain, they can put themselves into position wherever they want to. I'm glad they didn't go for the houses slightly further, I guess, kind of the north of what we're seeing. You actually can't see very well what's going on there. And actually, we are starting to see a couple of these teams having scraps kicking off here. FaZe did manage to find a couple of targets, and it looks like Penta as well going to try and catch a few on the way out, but not going to be connecting this time. And Penta needs to be careful of the time, and FaZe, with a man down, looks like he'll be culled pretty soon.
So we knew this was going to happen. They were coming through kill boxes. Penta, one of those teams, if you want to drive past someone, it is not James. James is dynamite on the AR, and he's very good at picking people out of cars, and that's what he did. So we see FaZe already suffering and having to choose, do I try to fight my way back to go for a res, or do I leave a man behind? And it looks like they're just going to opt to potentially leave him unless Fuzzface can make a big transition behind Penta and try to get him up right now.
Yeah, this is a risky play. It looks like they're just splitting up to the dance here to pick up another car to kind of traverse. We already said that before. It's super popular to get as many vehicles as possible. Keep your options open. But that choke point just south of Pachinki does seem as though it might claim some more lives if they're not careful. Liquid are just starting to move through there. There's still FaZe members not far off either. So you've got to keep your eyes on this area here. There's Hollywood as well, the classic just riding around with Molman as well. So you've got these two putting a lot of faith in there, just, the casual tap of control to ensure that nose goes down and keeps you riding pretty safely at this point. But they're in a decent spot. It looks like they're heading around that south side. And actually, that's relatively unpopulated. Most of these teams have gone quite central, which is not uncommon at all. But there's really good real estate still available down in that southwest position.
So Liquid's going to head down there. It's unfortunate for them. They like to jump middle map so that they can try to get to middle map. The circle was the worst case scenario for them in terms of how far to travel. And now they've got to pass some teams like the Corn Shuckers, who are down there on the bottom. They've been looting there the whole time. They're going to set up shop. And what you do at this point is kills are worth 10 points. You set up shop and you take out teams that are in transition. It's a really easy way to sort of bolster your scores and make sure that you're ready to go into the next round.
Yeah, we're going to see it. I doubt these two are going to take full fights. They're both perfectly capable of breaking things off. You've got a little bit of high ground in between as well. No forced fights in this situation. We are seeing a couple of players, though, going down already. You're seeing the kills coming through. And again, it's not from these compounds because they can split off easily. You can spot each other out, you can get the information, but there's no need to fight. You're not being pushed by the circle. Might as well just spin around and have a look at this. And yeah, Sigsy, a player who got a lot of people's attention during that Gamescom spree. He's been around for quite some time, it seems, and Alliance obviously picking him up, but he's obviously been pressured here, down a little bit on health and looking a little bit lonely.
Yeah, and it's a really tough situation to find yourselves in. Now, DC is also a team that's probably not going to overpush this. They're happy to do damage and then just let it be. He's by himself. He's trying to heal back up. DC can sort of lock in and hold their position. So when you see kills happening right now, a lot of that is people getting shot out of cars. They're fights that we can't traditionally get to because it's just lost in transition. That's part of what happens when 40% of your circle is lost sort of off of the shore. So as these teams form up, I think what we're going to start to see is some very big conflict zones developing. Down here, around the quarry, just north of it, Tempo Storm in a very strong complex. And as we jump over here, we can see that DC is still sort of making sure that the Alliance response isn't going to be overwhelming, but they have no desire to move until they know what this next circle is coming. We've got maybe about 15 seconds, and then at that point, we're going to see everyone fire those engines up and rush to the middle, because whoever controls the middle of this next circle is going to be in a great position to push into the end game.
Yeah, it is where that circle goes now. This becomes such a springboard effect for the rest of the game. So, again, late to the party, but just putting on board with Hayes here, a couple of pings, a couple of tags towards the car. You can see it around half HP, so you've got to be a little careful. Obviously, you don't want to get caught, as we've seen a lot of teams do. With a 1.5 times chance of ARs being dropped, it does give more viability to put in a couple of bullets into these cars, and obviously hoping that you wake them up a little bit later as well. And now you can start seeing the teams kind of converging towards that central piece here, and it looks like Energetic Turtle might have a bit of a glimpse here on one of the Liquid boys. Scoom's got to be careful. Healing up right now. No rush, no big need, and he's got soft cover. He's got, one position pretty much covered. He's got to be careful to not overextend and just hope that maybe some support can arrive and they can pressure, but playing against hard cover like this, oh wow, that's a lovely circle as well. Just keeps going in real nice. Not pressuring too many people either. Not going to see many moving off the back of this. That's just quite a clean one. Forcing the players from the north up in Georgia Pole to chip down a little bit, but still it's not far. You might see some fights there, but overall, this is going to be a hot position, and Scoom's now playing a dangerous game, but bear in mind, Scooby, he gets overlooked sometimes. This guy has got some real firepower. Not often put there with the others, but if you look at his kills throughout those online leagues, this guy can deliver, so don't doubt him. But look at this angle. Look at this very tiny, very minute peak that Energetic Turtle is looking for here.
Well, and right now, Scoom, the shot caller for Liquid, is here in a tough position. So you know that he's trying to get his team into a good place where they can fight back. But this circle means that we're going to see a lot of teams sort of comfortable where they are, engage in some small firefights, and also the transition. Like right now, up on the north of the map, C9 having a hard time moving past a couple of teams.
That's a drop and a half.
This is a great drop. This is a special delivery, ding, ding, right there, drop for Alliance, saying, hey, we feel for you and the guy you lost early. Let's see if we can help out a little bit.
All right, let's see. You can start seeing the teams in the north working their way down. Noble already considering that one. A couple of players split up. You can see that level 1 helmet shining away. But be careful here. You can see the minis in play. UMP still not exactly ideal, but you've got the scars as well. So just got to be a little bit cautious as how he plays this one out. Level 1 vest too. He's pretty undergeared at this point.
Absolutely, and this is again a symptom of the circle. Because of the need to move early and not find a lot of loot options right now, there's no way to sort of bolster your gear until you manage to catch somebody out of position. So what we're going to see is a lot of teams sort of spreading out into these swamps and making those fights work for them.
Now, where is the rest of Liquid here? Because I'm wondering if they want to bail out Scoom, if that's the plan, or if he can just hold this. He's not particularly in a rush, but are they trying to get a better position on this? Are they going to work around? Or have they just kind of left him to his own devices? Because he'd have to smoke his way out. He does at least have the foliage covering a good position. If he runs up and over the terrain, he can find a way through. But again, yeah, he is very much on his own here, kind of isolated from the others, hoping to be able to get past this. But he's not alone. If that smoke goes up, he actually might be able to be seen from the players not far off from him.
Absolutely. So his team is close, and the goal, what they're doing here is they've locked down a compound on the coast, hoping that the next circle will move towards them. That means no one gets behind them. And if it forces those who are shooting, if it shorts his method to move, then he can finally just sort of hunker down and make his way to his rest of his team later. That's why we're not seeing peaks, we're not seeing pushes, because he can do that. He can force method, waste some bullets, and just waste some time.
Yeah, we're just looking at teams fortifying their positions right now, getting the lay of the land, essentially. There's no need to rush anything. It's a very nice circle. It kind of puts no one's nose out of position right now. This is pretty much it. You can maybe make risks, make gamble moves to try and take over better real estate. If you try and do that, I guess you could have someone like the NIP guys or someone of an aggressive nature doing that. But again, no team is forced into a bad position just yet, unless they take a gamble or a risk. So again, let's see what TSM's up to. The remains of TSM, merely 2 left alive, AMPR and Smack there. So they've got themselves back in this one. Great gear on AMPR though, 3'd up, all 3s. Perfect spot on that one. Loads of 5s on him as well. He's got the Scar, he's got the M16, so he's sitting pretty well at this point.
And if there's a team that can survive with 2 and do well, it's TSM. They're designed to sort of make that work, and to have AMPR still up and calling things and sort of moving his team around is really valuable to them. So I expect to see them go pretty deep in this game, because when you lose 2 early, or 1 even, it forces you into a sort of cautious style of play. And that cautious play isn't the worst thing in the world, because you won't get wiped.
I'm curious if EG have noticed a boat coming around. I really don't think they would have, to be fair, but again, this is a fun fight going out. You do have a nice bit of high ground for AAA. They've got the safety of the sea to their back, so again, they've got no worries about that. No one's going to encroach without them noticing. So if EG aren't careful, they might just start silhouetting a little and actually giving away a little bit of the game here. But depending on how they want to fight this one out, you don't want to be taking some fights at this point. Oh, you've got a nice suppressor sitting on that one. Shipboard scope as well. It looks like a 4 times. 8, excuse me. Beautiful. Now that's what we're going to see. Let's see if you can spot anyone out at this point. If they do get a couple of glimpses, obviously EG are the easier ones to spot here at this point. They can kind of work out where they want to go. But again, they're in no hurry either. They can take their time. Brilliant loot on these guys. It looks like they're 2'd up as well, so that's all you need. A nice maybe, I always like to have the full auto, and then maybe something to work with. Even if it's an M16, just with a nicer scope on, that's always a nice thing to be able to have.
We usually see AA running with scopes and ARs, because AA is a team that likes to catch their opponents off guard. They like to move in, catch you when you're not looking, and cost you a player before the fight even really starts. So that's why you see them sort of moving quietly through here and waiting for their chance to engage. In the same time, Alliance is stuck in the swamp. Liquid, the 3 that are alive, have a great spot. The one that's alone, I don't want to say he's dead yet, but he is in really a lot of trouble, because with this circle transition that's about to happen, their method very well might have to go through Scoom to move into the circle.
Yeah, Scoop could be the pain in the ass, right? Let's be honest. He's going to be the nuisance player. It's like you don't know if the rest of his team's there, if they've been flanking, if they've been getting... You can see Turtle here is looking around to try and find spots, and I think he might have caught a glimpse of maybe just one. A pixel is all you need. A pixel out of place will certainly get your attention at this point, looking towards anyone silhouetting over those hills and trying to traverse up. But the circle's going to be closing in soonish. You've got a couple more seconds on that one, but once it does, this is where we see the game get interesting. You're going to see the rest of TSM now working their way in. They're on the cars. Not too much pressure from this side. I guess Noble could again start peppering the cars, but they should be relatively safe up in the north. But right now, again, Energetic Turtle just keeping eyes on, keeping tabs, and Scoom just needs to stay alive.
It looks like A's found EG.
They found him, all right.
Hopefully we'll see how that goes, as that's sort of breaking down on that bottom of the island, taking some nice shots in that way. But as the circle establishes itself right now, what I look to see is Liquid is probably going to have a chance to shoot at Method as they work their way around through the flanks, so they can potentially get Scoom out. It looks like EG's come away without too many losses. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a massacre in this section of the island.
Yeah. So let's look at where they have to cross through. You've got a bit of the swamp in there, you've got a bit of quarry, there's a car 98. Let's not look at that. Don't care about that one right now. At the end of the day, it is all about that transition period. I think teams are going to go quite quick on this as well. You need to get back in the cars. You can see it instantly. They know they're in for a real problem here. A lot of shots can be coming through as well. NIP being peppered. You're going to see those lines lighting up the map as they all try and make their way through here. NIP, it looks like they made it just about for this moment. Scoom is just sat there like, please no one look at me. And then again, you can't escape. NIP go from one problem to another. Now Liquid open up on them. Liquid in a great spot as well here.
Phenomenal.
Super central, safety, good high ground, hard cover. AAA as well. They're playing great in this. They've got good positions. FaZe though. Now that could cause some problems heading south out of the circle, but it looks like NIP have been found.
Yeah, FaZe will take their time. NIP is just, X and Borg ran into just a slaughterhouse between AAA and Liquid, and you can see that fight going on. Now, Energetic Turtle still trying to find himself some Scoom, but so far, no luck. They've got the circle list, they can hold their position. That said, we know Flamingos are now coming through here.
Here we go. Dump's gonna spray this one down. Great control, that's one. Oh no! It's back up! It's just about trying to make it away, but the car's gonna do the job anyway, gonna put him out of his misery. And unapologetic turtle living up to the name, finishing off that job with a mini and watching the others just about making their way through the foliage, but great job getting some damage done on that transition. Yeah. And there's someone new there.
So Scoom has vacated. He took the chance from the Flamingos to get out of there. Meanwhile, DC got stuck in that position, as well as some Flamingos with a really tough transition. They got caught out, they got rolled over, and that's the end of that.
Look at EG phase. Everyone's going to be collapsing towards that side. We've got to spin into this one.
Yep.
As they're going to be working their way around each other at this point as well, yeah. You're seeing FaZe receiving a lot of attention from EG. They're trying to make their way through. They're not the best kid. You can see that level 2 already looking a little redder than before. But again, looking for any cover. You're not going to be giving any. You might have to give up going for hard cover at this point. Play the soft cover, get into good terrain, get into maybe a position you can feel a little more confident in.
It's worth looking at the east side of the map, where Ronin is playing gatekeeper. So if you go up there, you're going to see Ronin on the east, playing gatekeeper up against the guys trying to get in.
3 of FaZe just went down. This is going to be huge. Again.
That was the vehicle.
AAA are going to be watching this one, and they're loving this. These are the contenders that completely could hold them back, but Alliance now being picked up. Viesi was the one who had the AWM as well, so that's now in free play. I don't know who's going to pick that one up, but the last of FaZe looks like he's going to go down as well at this point, unless one of them managed to scurry away. But it looks as though that gatekeeping game towards the south has really hurt a lot of these teams. Again, looking at this one, Luminosity and Penta. Look at these guys. Oh my word, Penta can just be a real pain here. And Sixy, he's been here the whole time.
Yeah, he's just been playing this sort of hideout Trojan horse game.
Oh God, Sixy, why are you like this? But then again, maybe Drassel could do something, or the Penta player that Sixy. I want to get on board with Sixy if we can, just to see where he is. Is he still in the barn?
I think he's sitting inside the corner.
Is he going to late?
There, yeah.
I think he's going to late play this, try and let Luminosity kind of be his pathway, use them. But again, there's players behind them, which could mean this is a huge issue if he tries to time it.
Absolutely, and it could backfire as Drassel was healing, so he's going to be kind of tailing behind the rest of his team as they move up this hill. But these guys okay, so Sigzy heard them all leave. He's considering getting out himself.
Steps now as well.
The problem is James could also be a spoiler here.
What time does he go? He's got to go pretty soon, and it looks like Drassel's going to be the man to get caught in the heels. If it happens, Sigzy can just dive out that window, well geared, but he's playing it slow. Does he want to play the blue? Probably not.
This blue's no joke, so this is not a blue you want to spend time in.
No, it actually really does hurt. So again, it looks like Luminosity getting some attention as they try and swing south side on the slow side of the circle. Not the end of the world. Other teams can pick up that fight, but Sigzy, you got to move soon, my friend. There's one man with you in the blue, but he doesn't have far to run, and he's decently stimmed, but he's got to go.
Yeah, I thought he'd go for this full super boost and then just take off. He's only gone halfway up, and he seems like he still wants to play that very carefully. That means he must have a lot of stims and a lot of heals in his backpack ready to go. Now he's out and he's moving. James probably won't be looking at him at this point. This is first person, obviously, so they're just going to be running to get to the blue as fast as possible. Sigzy following him. Wow.
Let's have a little look at this new circle coming up here. Method in a really good position. It looks like probably Liquid are just on the cusp. Yeah, they are just about here. Wind and Rain, you've got a lot of teams still in good positions at this point. Sigzy's under fire. That's going to probably take him down surely at this point. I doubt he's going to get away with much, but this 8 times in this man's hands. And he's about to unleash. Great work towards one of the EG members. Gets him down, can't take him out just yet. Bleeding away, though, down the defilade.
Absolutely. So, and this is the tough part. There's not a lot of complexes in this area. Yes, you do have the swamp, so we're going to have to deal with a lot of defilade fights, a lot of peak fights from behind trees, and a lot of usage of rocks. The problem, Pansy, is getting there. When you've got teams in those complexes who shoot the way that these teams shoot, it's just a really, really terrible thing to cross. As you're seeing C9 up on the north having trouble getting through their gatekeepers to get into the circle. Liquid about to go to town with ninjas in pajamas. And the whole north is about to explode.
Yeah, it is. You can see Andy Pyro just using these angles really nicely. Smart play from him. We'll go into detail as what happened with these guys. They found it very hard to get that boot camp in like everyone else, and so you're gonna have a bit of a fight soon on his hands. So obviously well and truly up for it. NIP working their way in, not too scared to take a fight. Let's remind ourselves, and T-Bone on the other side here. Good positioning on this one, but could get banged out, but no, the nade will do it for him. Again, this is really problematic now coming in for the NIP side. They do have a little bit of cover here with Crunch and Sweater into the other building, but this is a small area and the rest of it is now starting to light up.
Absolutely. And Crimson, one of those teams that came through qualifiers. A lot of people sort of wrote them off as maybe not as powerful as the other teams, but these guys can fight. And I think they just proved that they're dealing with a team like Ninjas trying to push into them. So very, very clean. Now let's jump to the swamp. You can see how many teams are setting up around here.
Oh, no.
Oh, Smack.
Smack, this could be horrible. Gustav's on the other side. He gets the shotgun out.
Oh
no, Smack.
It's a massacre!
Yeah, he just got put down. Wind and Rain happily accept that one. It does give away the position to the rest of the teams, though. Cloud9 are now on notice. They're a little worried as to how this one happened. People so... McCoy Spots one going past, takes his time. Again, this is patience. You got to pick your fights. You got to pick your poison at this point. It looks like Liquid as well suffering here. AAA managed to pick them up, and this is now going to be the last of the players moving in. You got Noble working their way in. TSM from the north playing very slowly. And well, Shrek Swamp is just lighting up here, isn't it?
Shrek Swamp's going a little crazy. And of course, if you're watching this, you're thinking, my games never have 56 people alive at this stage. It's because this is the first one. We want to play for placement. You want to set yourself up for the potential to have a good run today. The problem with that is it means the next circle, when this one closes, which we're about 26 seconds away from, it's about to go real bad.
Is he going to Kobe this one? Look at the damage, though. Cloud9 are in a real problematic area, not developer, looking for opportunities, and he's going to spot a few, spam that away. He's got the suppressor on it as well, but can't find the shots, and he's trying to peek the wood, and there's no helmet on this guy, if I'm not mistaken, so that's a very dangerous peak to go for, but he's quelled the threat for now. Another circle now arrives, centralizing again, and all the fights on the outside. AAA are putting up such a great performance. Noble have just been destroyed by them, but it looks like TSM are going down as well. They haven't had the opportunity to get into the safe zone. They're playing out in the blue for a very long time.
Method scores the only complex in this one by continuing to be in it. They don't have to move at all. Everyone else going to run into a whole lot of violence.
Look at Liquid, look at NIP, look at all these guys up there. This is huge for them. Don't know if they're going to be able to get away with much here. It does look like Andy is finding his targets. Elusive just got caught. Only not killed, so there's still chance there. But again, if he's finding these shots and that new circle is now starting to loom, you have to keep that in mind. Crunch going down, Sweater going down. NIP looks like they've been dealt with at this point. Liquid are still alive with a couple of members there. Wind and Rain holding on. There's a lot of teams still in this that maybe you don't expect. And guess who's still alive? Good old Sigsy. He finally made it in, still staring at Luminosity's backs. They're still in this one in front of him.
He's slow and steady, but he's also, it doesn't have as much in front of him as most of these other teams do. So if you talk about anything going on the north, there's a huge throwdown going up there. Not developer still, by the way, fighting it out over here with Wind and Rain. These are two teams trying to sort of control their position, but
the problem is that they have to then cross past him. He's holding this. He can be a pain in the ass, and he can back away quite nicely. I guess the foliage will maybe favor him unless they bang out like a dirty Car 98 shot. So again, he does have the opportunity to back before they do. They need to get past, and you can't peek like that. Not a developer doesn't need a second chance to deliver on that one. The slow peek, no helmet, you're gonna get punished at this level. Chipsy does finally find Sigsy, who's trying to work his way around the back lines. And now let's look at this transition period. You got 25 seconds. Teams now need to make their minds up. That southwest corner, look at that side. It's gonna be an absolute bloodbath.
Absolutely. So we saw the alliance threat nullified. LG still trying to get in against DC. Ronan needs to pack up and go and get into this circle right now.
Oh, this is not going easy. It looks like AAA thought they'd pick up a clean kill there, but no, Noble still have members alive, and that's that southwest side. Boom now, trying to play the game, trying to play the angles, not give away too much, and on the other side, Shiv, full auto, surely gonna be on that 4-1-6. No, he gets caught! Great flank coming out from the AAA guys. They know their positioning is so good. This chemistry, this positioning is second to none, and now, oh wow, okay, that Molly's gonna be doing work, but not as much as the shotgun that comes swinging on by, and people are now moving. They've got their running shoes on, and the spray as well. Can't quite connect on the end, but now the blue comes in. The next big threat, you've got to get running here.
You got to get in the middle. The tick is insane right now. We saw 56 people alive not more than a minute and a half ago. We're down here. Method getting cut to pieces. DC in a really good position. Method super happy as they hurt EG, who's finally trying to slide in. AA finally has secured their position that they can hold for a second and catch a breath. But these poor guys up on top, they just don't have anything that they can do.
No, it looks like Luminosity is really starting to suffer. Andy Pyro is unleashing, but he does manage to get found. I'm not sure why, but there you go. Leighton goes down as well. This is the madness of having any compound at this point. Leighton actually getting knocked at this point. 8C as well. Method are suffering here. This is insanity. Who's even left standing from that compound at this point?
I think it's Energetic Turtle who was in a different
build. Is that Cornshuckers still holding on at that point?
Yeah, Cornshuckers has been
nice
holding
work.
on.
There we go.
So Energetic Turtle, the last man, he's trying to hold. He wasn't in the complex. So Cornshuckers is trying to clear and move through while Energetic Turtle has a good position to potentially cost them because he's in the circle. Well, he was in the circle and can wait it out. This last circle is going to be a low and slow one. So the question is, can Cornshuckers and Method get over this fight and get to the circle? They don't want to lose too many more people.
Let's see the angles. These guys have been, the slow burn, right? They've been kind of building their way into this. Andy Pyro gets put down. And now they've got to consider their moves. You know that Energetic Turtle's just going to try and ruin your game. You know that's what he's going to try and do, follow you in, play the late game. How do they work this one out? Do they bait it? Do they hold one back? And again, look at this slow rotate down that southeast side. They're all trying to do it. They go on the slow side of the circle here. That's going to mean a lot of troubles. Again, Oh my word.
Well, Energetic Turtle has a full side of fire to that entire area.
Yep.
So if you try to cross anything outside of that house from Energetic Turtle, it gets absolutely bananas. And if you go around,
Corn Shuckers, here we go. This is going to be massive. They're going to be running into each other any second now. They're just steps behind. You're going to see the bullets to the back, and there it is. The instant spin around too late. Cool's gone down. The blue's coming in. The spin comes out. Good work taking them down, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. It looks like Corn Shuckers have now been just completely culled at this point. If any of them are still alive, I'd be very surprised, but no.
They're gone.
Here's the final shots coming through. That southeast play on the slow side has just caught 2 teams out.
Corn Shuckers let everyone know where EG was. EG tried to run for it. DC saw it coming, was able to take them out, make their way inside. Fausto gets in just before the blue closes. They're up against AAA, coming in from the opposite side, and Tempo Storm, the last there. So it looks like it's 3 teams prepping as they push into this, all on opposite sides of the Triangle Road, looking for their chance.
What cover do we have? Right, we need to see what cover we've got here. A little bit of a defilade, but Shiv. He's got himself central, but they're surrounded left, right, center. Shiv doesn't even have a full auto gun. He could get completely screwed here with the wrong timing on this one. And there's Dre. It looks like they spotted them out. The fight comes in. It looks like AAA are in real trouble in this point. And now can he get revived? No, surely not at this point. They're leaving Shiv alive, trying to bait in the teammate, maybe drop a nade on him and see what they can do. Trying to use these defilates as best they can, as already AAA are in real problems. First to move, but maybe first to die.
You're gonna see a lot of them moving outside of where the circle's going to be, trying to find these roads here. They have defilate built into them, so you can use those for wraparound. DC spots out TS, starts taking some shots, so Avian trying to find his target here as he looks around. The problem is there's just so many defilates, and the real problem is that Tempo Storm has 4. And those players, when it comes to breach tactics, or not breach tactics, push tactics in the open, they're incredibly strong. Your boy Dre will find himself out in front here, and this is one of those times when Valiant can say, you know what, Dre, go crazy. That's what they're gonna do.
And it does look as though that's exactly it. Already a couple of the Tempo Storm guys getting pressured. Nate comes out. That could be huge. Oh, he's gonna get it. Oh, that could be 2. Can he get the job done? The nade's great as well. Fausto's still in this.
Yeah.
And there it is. Incredible work coming through. Great kills. You can see what that means to these guys. They came through the qualifiers. These guys have grinded and grafted through this one, and they've turned up and delivered against some of the very favorites. You've had Tempo Storm coming into this looking great. They looked solid. Really, in this AAA, lived up to expectations. That's not to even be discussed. But again, what a great way to start this one off, seeing a young, hungry team coming into this and delivering.
Absolutely. These are teams, especially if you look at the top 5, and I'm sure they'll talk about this and tell you all about it. These are teams that all needed to come in and perform tops, and all of them are here. The only one that I think we heard as a favorite is AAA sitting in 3rd. That was just an absolutely brutal final. And you know what? Kudos to DC, because their usage of the car explosion and the grenade combo was absolutely brutal, because Tempo Storm had every advantage and walked away without anybody alive.
Which is really damn surprising. A little low on the kills for Tempo Storm, but really good positioning. That's one you got to say. They really played the positioning very well. AAA, I think, were the team for me that lived up to the playstyle that we expected, right? Aggressive, confident, willing to take fights and deliver on them, and they did that. I think maybe some teams were a little caught out with how aggressive they were.
And how smart they were. They made the long rotation on the water to get behind everyone. They knew where the circle map would require them to be.
And even going north side on that kind of late couple of circles, rather than going for the slow burn around the southeast that caught out so many teams. What, EG got caught on that, Corn Shuckers as well. You know, there were so many issues that happened, even though they played in theory the right way, but great mentality coming out from these guys, and got to say credit where it's due, they really turned up here today. But let's hear from them themselves, down with Sims with the interview.
From Digital Chaos. First question, it has to be generic. How does it feel taking the first win of the day?
Feels absolutely amazing to know that like 8 teams will come here and actually win a game, and to win the first one going in, it's such a huge like confidence boost. It feels amazing.
Well, let's talk about your journey here, because it wasn't easy. Obviously, you had to go through the qualifiers. I mean, how much of a task was that, and how much pressure does it kind of add on to yourself, knowing that you're coming into this against all these kind of invited teams, so to speak?
I actually feel like it relieves a little bit of the pressure. You know, we went through the qualifiers, we went up against 320 teams in total. Top 4 went through, we came out, you know, 4th place and we got through. I actually think that relieves the pressure, because we know that we've fought our way to get here. We know like we've earned it, and it feels really good.
Okay, let's talk about your thought process then. Plane comes in, what's the first thing you guys are kind of thinking? What's the discussion that goes through the team's mind, and how do you plan where you're going to drop?
We're looking for like basically a safe area to loot at the start of the game. You know, a lot of areas are going to be contested, so we want to get away from the plane. We want to get vehicles. sometimes we do something weird, catch people off guard. Sometimes we just do a standard, you know, go away from the play and find cars, get loot. It's pretty straightforward, really. We just need to look around, like what other teams are doing, and then figure out what we're going to do based off of that.
What kind of play style would you say you guys go for? Are you looking to try and find a stronghold, a compound, try and get into early on, or are you a team that prefers to always be on the move, always wandering around and kind of taking the fights when they find you?
If we see a strong compound, we'll take it. We like to be on foot, we like to be fighting, but there's no point, you know, if a compound's in the middle of the circle, there's no point not being in it, right? But we also like, you know, if we can find a good spot on a hill you have a lot more mobility. You know, you're not as safe in a building, but you're also not as restricted. You can move around, you can fight, you can flank people. So that's what we were doing most of that game. We spent very little time sitting in buildings.
Okay, well, you know what? Congratulations. I'm going to let you go and chill with your team now. That's it from us. When we return, we're going to have more intense action. What a way to start off day one, game number one. We'll see you guys in just a second.